Welcome to MindStand Pod, a series exploring workplaces and diving into cultures that make them tick. Each of our seasons will dive into unique factors of business, provide great stories from leaders in human capital, and offer helpful insights you can use today to impact your company.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another MindStand podcast. I am your gracious host, Michael Ogunsanya, CEO and co-founder of MindStand. And we have a very special guest with us. I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Hello, MindStand world and HR world and human being world. My name is Anthony Vaughan. I prefer being called AJ, but I'll allow Anthony for today. I am joining the MindStand team, and I'm going to try to bring some value. Going to try to make some things happen, and inevitably try to impact the world of work and help employees and leaders and everyone that is trying to make a change. So I'm excited to chat and introduce who I am and get into this conversation here.
Yeah, and this is a super exciting partnership, a super exciting opportunity that we've kept under wraps. Anthony has been a huge help to MindStand from 2020, helping us as young HR founders understand the lay of the land, what it really means to be an employee experience focused leader. And Anthony, you have an amazing track record from E1 B2 brands to Sojo Signal. Could you explain a little bit more of who's been Anthony from 2020 to now?
Yeah, so I guess it's crazy. It has been 2 years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That's the wild part. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I was saying that it definitely feels like 2021 and 2020 were kind of just looped together. But so I think for me, who I've been, I'll take it a little bit further back than that, just at a broad level. I founded a few brands between 19 and 26. I then went in house at about 26 until 29. So the 25 to 29 as a head of people for a few different organizations. And then, yeah, at the top of the pandemic, I was furloughed. So literally, 2+ years ago, I was furloughed. And, I made a decision that getting back into the world of HR at some point internal, if that ever needed to happen, I wanted to be able to join a company again, whether it was a year later or 5 years later, stronger than I was when I first originally came in, because I come from traditionally, being a founder, an operator, CEO, conducting partnerships, scaling teams. I don't traditionally come directly from the HR leadership space. So I felt that there were some points of views that I needed to cultivate. So that's what I've been doing over the last 2 years. I built out the E1B2 Collective. I founded and worked with and supported probably almost 70 plus folks over the course of 2 years, ebbing and flowing in between. We built about 5 different brands. I advised a few more, and obviously MindStand was one of those, and spoke at probably another 50 conferences and other podcasts, and started my own podcast and did 500 episodes. And so I've been doing a lot of stuff. And so for me, everything that I do is putting employees first. And so over the last 2 years, I've been really trying to do that and do that in a way that maybe impacts the onboarding process, the talent acquisition process, the DE&I variables, big data with MindStand here. I've tried to do that on the employee coaching side of things. So I've tried to do that in a multitude of different ways, and I've been trying to stay busy. So
Busy you have been. I don't want to age date you, but over a decade now of finding companies, of continuing that spirit of, finding Anthony, but also finding companies that want to build, that want to work. And with the world that we live in today, how COVID has really flipped the workplace on its head, we're starting to see that effort, that care, that ethos are the skills that employees and leaders are hiring for. If I may, I'd love to know, Anthony, you've been chosen to the Avengers, and you're on the plane flying over, what would be your superpower? What is your superpower?
Um, getting in front of high powered and very successful individuals, um, essentially out of thin air, as if I'm a magician. If I'm being honest with you, I still think back to. I'll give you a perfect example. I just got asked to speak at a conference out in Tennessee yesterday. I have no idea how that happened. Like I don't I struggle at times to even think about how am I such a good connector? How am I so good at galvanizing folks around a perspective or an idea? And how am I so good at trying to get someone to see my point of view while also sustaining and building a relationship? So that's probably my biggest superpower. I do think the second is, my football background, my Baltimore humble beginnings definitely brings a level of aggression in a good way to this industry that is needed. I think a lot of people BS things as it pertains to DE&I, or as it pertains to what they say we care about employees or putting them first. I'm literally not joking around, and I do bring that level of intentionality. So I think those are probably my two superpowers. One being a connector, and two being just someone that's really trying to bring a lot of objective, controlled aggression in a good, empathetic way to this space, to make sure that leaders do the right things and support their people the right way.
Yeah. And on that note, what do you feel like you can teach the world? What have others came back to you and said, thank you for helping me understand this?
How simple this all is, you know, and we can talk about this another day, but a lot of the work that I'm doing, if you really unpack it, it's really based around psychology. And a lot of the work that a lot of leaders have shared with me is that, look, I didn't realize how simple this was. I didn't realize how it really started with a shifting of my psychology. I didn't realize how it really started out with me recognizing and raising my hand and saying, I need to change. I need to be better. I need to do for an employee as if I would do for a brother or sister, a friend, a family member. So um, those are the two variables that I think a lot of people have been learning about me, and what I've been teaching and what they've been taking away from my interactions.
You Psychological safety. Those are two words that have bared so much weight, so much value over the past few years. How can you think of the safety of others? Just to what you said, as you work with an employee, work with a brother, sister, friend, neighbor, embracing and valuing people's psychological safety. When you do that, they value you. And that's amazing to see how you've been able to help people understand. It's not just me, there's no I in team. And there's also ways that I can do even the smallest things. At MindStand, we've learned things like including your pronouns, removing the words I or guys from conversations can create those environments. And here we are today, MindStand, the company that's raised over $300,000, a new member of the Techstars Equitech Accelerator. We're really on a mission to foster an inclusive and healthy culture. And I'd love to hear from you. Something we love doing with every employee, every new member of MindStand. Anthony, what is MindStand?
What is MindStand? That's interesting. I want to give a different answer and a different point of view. Actually, what answer are you looking for? Let me ask you that.
Pitch me MindStand. What is this MindStand? I saw it on your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pitch you. I actually want to pitch you MindStand from a non-technical or non-traditional HR point of view. You know what I think MindStand is? I think MindStand is a capability that holds leaders and managers accountable. I'm going to make it really simple like that. That's really what MindStand does. Now, we could talk about a lot of other technical terms, and we could get into the jargon. We could get into a lot of variables, but MindStand at its core facilitates and strategically navigates the ability for all leaders inside of companies and all humans, frankly, inside of companies to be held accountable and to be equitable and inclusive and honest with each other in a safe way. That's from my point of view, really what MindStand does and what it is. And now, obviously, there are some way more intricate than that, but that is the core of what it does. And let me throw this out there too. And Michael, I know you've potentially have heard this at times. For any potential partner, client, new hire, anyone that may be listening to this 3 days from now or 7 years from now, the way that MindStand works functionally, where it's whether it's scraping data, looking over data, monitoring, please understand this. And Michael, please cut me off if I'm saying this wrong. I don't think MindStand is here to try to spy or do anything negative. 100%. MindStand, from my POV, is honestly here to again drive accountability at the highest level. I think I hear Gary V actually would be a really great influencer for MindStand. I want to try to pull the clip, and maybe we'll get the social media team to like do some cool stuff. There's a clip that like came out 7 years ago where he said, if there was a big camera just watching the entire world at one time, forever, like 24/7, it just continually went. And he said, if there was like, and he was like really trippy. I don't know if he was like, I don't know what he was doing. He was like getting really like crazy. He was saying, and if there was like someone that was behind that camera that if they saw you do something negative would hold you accountable. So pretty much AKA monitoring, right? He said he definitely understands how it can be uncomfortable or awkward or weird or not a good feeling. But he said on the flip side, he can bet you this, human beings would act very, very, very different. And I agreed with both points of views that he shared, but here's the real point of view that I think he was trying to get across with that example in that story. He was saying that human beings have a natural ability to tap into ego, tap into anger, tap into aggression, tap into selfishness, tap into micromanagement, tap into disrespectful words at scale, at a subconscious level. And there are products, there are tools, there are moments where steering you back to accountability and putting a focus on what you are not doing right is never a bad thing. It can only increase your accountability moving forward and can teach the brain, teach the subconscious to change moving forward. So I give that whole rant because, and Michael, please jump in, because I know there's been folks that may have pushed back against the capability, the technical capability of what it does. I completely see it from a different point of view. I believe it's full accountability. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been always told to operate from a sense of abundance. And I often feel like so many business leaders fail to do that. When you think of the next deadline, when you think of what could go wrong, you're limiting yourself from thinking how you can build, how you can scale. And the companies that are winning, the companies that are leading the market, are companies who created a base business model and executed at a level where they feel comfortable operating from a stance of abundance. And things will figure themselves out. Organizations and employees will want to work from you, and you'll create the culture that you want to see. I can name a number. Just yesterday, Delali Derazer, CEO and founder of Fearless, said that when you focus on the technology, when you focus on the very finite innovation, guess what happens? New technology comes in and everyone moves away from whatever was the hot topic when you think of technical innovation. But when you lead with purpose, which is what we're doing at MindStand, when you lead with intent, you will create something infectious, something that everyone wants to be a part of. And that's often a conversation within DEI tech. Again, diversity, equity, and inclusion technology creates that intentionalness that CEOs and leaders are looking for when they create DEI efforts. So often it's a stance of education. How can we help you operate from a sense of abundance and know that what employees are looking for is what we're providing? And let's take those steps to get you there. I think you described MindStand really well. I think you've described how employees look at MindStand from the benefits and where people are along that journey, because we're not here to provide data. We're not here to create barriers. We're here to open up ways for you to understand how to work together. And that's often the thing that troubles people. The idea of a camera created this idea of a reality. If I take 4 selfies over 4 days, people will think I'm the most active human being ever. But I could do the same thing and not mention it anywhere, and people might think I haven't done a single thing. When you create a way for people to feel comfortable in their full skin, which is what MindSand creates, you're creating a way for everyone to feel comfortable communicating with one another, for addressing ways to be better. It won't be TMZ. It won't be the shade room or a big Instagram issue. It'll be a way for people to humanize what it means to work online, what we've all been craving for ever since we've had to move to a remote workspace. And we dropped a lot of gems, Anthony.
Yeah, yeah. We should share the keynote stage one day.
I'd love to. That'd be awesome. I have a couple more questions for you, Anthony. Just in the line of MindStand, why did you join? What made you take that step?
Well, I think the first thing is, and pardon me if any audio gets picked up here. I have some kids outside that need to like go into timeout for a little bit because they're always screaming when they get off the bus. But I think the first thing is a relationship that you and I cultivated and built. Life is about relationships. Life is about trust. I trust you. I enjoy working with you. I think you're a smart young man, and so that was probably the first thing. Second thing is just the whole team. I've met all of your co-founders, and I respect them. They're smart. They're witty. They're brave. They don't back down, which is good. I've had moments where we've had a debate or something and they've held their ground, which is always good when you have when you try to find the right answers or the right solutions. And then I think the third thing, I'm really big on accountability. I'm going to stand behind any product or tool or resource or framework or best practice that breeds and drives accountability. I'm big on it. It's something that I believe in. I drive accountability in my personal relationship with my fiance and my wife. I drive personal accountability as I plan to architect my father. What am I trying to say? Oh, how I'm trying to be a father from like a parenting perspective. And I like to say and think that I drive accountability in my professional life. So that's the main thing for me. Everything else beyond that, whether it's the technical aspect of it, the fact that we're in the DE&I space, the fact that it's a really scalable business model, those are really fun additions, but those are probably the three core reasons why this made sense for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And we are a group of co-founders of college students initially that knew that we had something special and knew that we could rely on each other and to work to our best ability. So I'm glad that you're able to recognize the culture that we're building, especially if we're on the midst of creating a product that influences and creates positive, healthy work cultures. I'd love to know too, what do you look forward to bringing to MindStand?
Yeah, so I use this kind of as a moment to give some potential future partners an idea of how we want to work with them. Honestly, this is what I want to bring. I think partnerships look about 3 to 4 different ways. And so I think for me, I want to bring the frameworks I'm going to share with right now, the way I look at partnerships, the way I look at integrations, the way I look at relationships. So I want to bring that. I want to bring some energy to the table. I want to bring being like a grizzled seasoned vet just in the entrepreneurial landscape. I think there's a level of honesty and I think there's a level of honesty, and I think I'm no longer as naive as I used to be. And that's something I've shared with you, Michael. I think not being naive could be disguised as negativity, but it's actually not. It's actually just being a little bit more clear of what is and what's not and what could be versus what is. So I don't know, like that's a weird thing, but I do think the fact that I'm a grizzled veteran and have failed multiple times and have won multiple times, you develop pattern recognition. That's the word I'm really trying to utilize. So I think I want to bring that to the team. But going back to some of the frameworks, I think for me, the number one framework, I want to try to find companies and help MindStand find companies right now that Michael and or MindStand is already connected with and capitalize on low-hanging fruit. It makes a lot of sense. There are communities and organizations out there that have either done a keynote with Michael, maybe you brought Michael into your podcast, maybe you saw Michael at a SHRM conference, maybe you interacted with Michael or the team somewhere, shape, form, or fashion. We want to talk to you. There has to be a way for us to work together. And I'll give you a couple of different categories. The first is a full integration. There has to be a service. There has to be a solution. There has to be a capability that you have inside of your business that the MindStand capability could bring value to that solution or that execution to make what you have that much better. Maybe you can charge more for that because you're integrating with MindStand. Maybe you'll have longer clients and more successful and happier clients due to the integration with MindStand. So we want to try to connect from that angle. I think the second angle we want to try to connect with is really trying to understand and navigate what a community-based PR type relationship looks like. I think whether it's if it's not the right decision to do a full integration right now, maybe it's a way that we can conduct four keynotes a year. Maybe we can co-create a few podcasts a year, ongoing and consistently. Maybe you need a little bit more time understanding and building trust and credibility with MindStand. So why not make some content along the way and build the relationship? The third layer is, or any organization out there, it could be a consulting firm, it could be another application out here, it can be many different types of companies. You have services out there that are very good, that are very solid, that are driving a lot of value. Any great business owner that has a structured business model where you can actually be sustainable, I believe the best variable of a leader is being curious and looking at what's next. And so I think potentially integrating and having MindStand be a standing service, a standalone service under the umbrella of whatever company may be listening right now would be a really, really, really great idea for you. We have the full operational team and bandwidth in place to do everything A to Z. All you have to do is trust us, believe in us, like us, and introduce us to your clientele underneath of and a part of your banner. And we'll obviously conduct the pure compensation business part on the back end behind the scenes. But to your clientele, there's a lot of value that you can bring to your clientele with no real uplift, right? We're going to handle everything operationally A to Z. And so those are some of the elements that I think make a lot of sense. Obviously, there's a fourth component, which is just going direct. I think I'll bring an ability to connect with founders, connect with CEOs, connect with other heads of people, heads of learning and development internally, heads of internal communication leaders. Internal communication leaders, Michael, that's another big one as well. You know, they're typically doing a lot of communication within Slack channels and other things. And so, you know, we want to also go direct if and when it makes sense. We want to work with you. We want to integrate into your organization. We want to be a part of anything communication wise you will allow us to be a part of. And again, I understand that it takes trust, it takes empathy, it takes understanding, but we want to try to find a win-win that everyone can get behind and get excited about. So I don't know if that was thoughtful enough, but
oh, the only thing you're missing is a call to action. So sign up today on mindstand.com for a demo. You'd be able to hear my voice and you'd be able to hear Anthony's voice with this new partnership. You know, we've spent the groundwork. We've talked, we've traveled, we've walked miles, from traveling to Mission District and meeting with people who lead Salesforce, down to having very heart-to-heart conversations with workforce directors at Google, Discord, Facebook, Microsoft. We have the lightning in a bottle, and we're really glad to start sharing it at a scalable rate. And really what you're bringing, Anthony, is that framework so that anyone who wants to make sense of their data, wants to make sense of DEI, can start to utilize this exciting technology that we've built. And we're looking forward to what comes next. We're looking forward to the end of 2022, 2023, really to change the world. Our mission is to foster more inclusive communications. Our vision is to be the gold standard in helping foster a more inclusive company culture and partnerships. Working with people who care about the problem, people who want to learn more, is the first step in getting there. Thank you, Anthony. This was an amazing conversation, an amazing way to share with the world what's coming next for MindStand and what's coming next for you. You know, we value your perspectives, your experiences, and the energy that you're bringing to MindStand. And for our goal of fostering more inclusive, safe, and welcome, psychologically safe workplace cultures, we cannot wait to continue working with you. Thanks, Anthony.
I appreciate you, brother. We'll talk soon, man.
Take care.